Well, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Thanks so much for having me, Joe.
Yeah, you bet. So before we get into your good work as an AI consultant and a trainer, I want to know first and foremost, 5 years ago, this pandemic was raging. So many things were changing. So ultimately, how did you make it through that time period, and how has it affected the way that you do things now in 2025?
Yeah, so I got through by moving. I had two businesses at the time, so I moved them both online. Um, and they both thrived online, and one stayed online, and the other I managed to, because I'd learned a lot of online business processes and started using an AI tool called Jasper AI, which is a copywriting tool. This was back before ChatGPT in 2022. Because I embraced the world of online technology, really, both businesses thrived after pandemic. And I recently, a year ago, April 2024, sold a online health and fitness business, which I had moved online during COVID times, and exited that with a good sale. And then I have since changed my brick and mortar business, which is an early years physical education business. I've changed that to a new business partnership model, thanks to AI. And that is now thriving. And I now in a world of AI trainer and strategist. And actually, I think that's thanks to COVID.
Okay, I would think so. So let me ask you this. What did you want to be when you were a kid? What was your dream life? What was your dream job?
Yeah, PE teacher, which I
Okay.
was. Yeah, which I
Okay.
was for. I wanted to be a PE teacher since I was 5, and I've wanted to be an international athlete since I was probably 12, and I've achieved both of them. So I've been a dual international athlete. I played touch rugby and netball for England. I still play touch rugby for England. I'm on 94 caps, 4 World Cups. Trying not to retire just yet. And I was a PE teacher in Australia, and then moved to London, and I lasted about 8 years, and then I started my own physical education business.
So, rugby's a fascinating sport that just has not caught on in America. Why do you think that is?
I think because uh, your gridiron is,
Yeah.
it's got all the big hits, it's got the ball control, it's got the same concepts as rugby. It's just played. Sorry,
Yeah, you're fine. It's all good.
it's
Well, so I'm in Kansas City, so the Chiefs, they actually got a rugby player, a big name rugby player to play for us last year. Did you know about that?
No, I didn't, but I do know. So, rugby over here has quite a few different codes. So, there's rugby union, rugby league, rugby sevens, touch rugby, and tag rugby. And I do know that there's a lot of transferable skills, and we have the rugby sevens in the Olympics. So, a lot of different sports, recruited for the rugby sevens, and flag football, which is your gridiron version, is going to be in the LA Olympics. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of transferable skills, and I think sports are really taking that on.
Yeah. So take me back to your childhood. How did becoming an entrepreneur and an international athlete, how were those seeds planted to become who you are today?
Oh gosh. Oh, um, well, yeah, I loved all things PE. I think I was really lucky. It was kind of a cultural thing in Australia to do physical activity after school, in the school. I think I thrived in all PE subjects, which kind of gave you the confidence, especially if if I mean, PE and science kind of came hand in hand. I wasn't good at languages, and I definitely didn't have the memory for history. So I think you kind of know what you're good at. I think generally my personality is a very like dominant red personality, which is, a leader in a team, very motivational. And I think I just gained a lot. I just knew I wanted to be a PE teacher, which kept me on the same track. And then having opportunities at school and university. And then, I think, yeah, just knowing what you want to do, right? And then doing it. I think my dad had his own little business as well. I think entrepreneur is quite probably in the blood a little bit. And I just think, oh, I don't know, without blowing my own trumpet, I think as an athlete, you are a natural high performer. And I think high performers bring something very unique to business. It's almost like um, it's non-negotiable to win. It's non-negotiable to be competitive. it's you've got to get better all the time, even if it's just 10% better every time. And it's strategy. Like when you're playing games, I'm a games athlete, netball and touch rugby. It's a strategy. How are you outwitting your opponents? How are you getting better yourself? What are the 1% marginal changes and differences you need to make? Are you reflecting? Are you a holistic athlete? It's the same in business. Are you a holistic business owner, entrepreneur? And yeah, a big thing of mine is opportunities. It's almost like, oh, I've got an opportunity to play. Great, I've got an opportunity to win a medal or win a trophy or win. Great, I'll go here. I've got an opportunity to do that. I don't know. It's inbuilt, and they've gone my athlete career and my PE teaching and my business and entrepreneurial have kind of all mixed together. And I see even bringing that into my role now as an AI trainer and strategist. It's like, what opportunities can I create with AI for other people to get wins?
It's interesting. I think about because I'm a sports fan and I look at these professional athletes and I think there's not many people that are alive on this planet that are ever going to feel that level of competition, that level of where they're at. And I'm not even thinking about it from a monetary standpoint, but just in general, how hard they have to work. And then you take that and transfer it into anything else. It's almost a DNA mindset. It's a part of your fabric and it's a part of what you're going to do with everything. Like, I remember that documentary on Michael Jordan, the Last Dance, and they were just showing
Mm.
how even when he would play dice, craps, cards with his security guy, behind the scenes, he was ultra competitive and would get really pissed off if he didn't win.
Yeah. You know what? I think that is the ability to get in a flow and get in a zone.
Yeah,
Like, and I think when you're an athlete and you have that ability to really get into a game or get into training, and nothing, like, you're so tunnel vision, nothing else matters but you being in the moment, strategizing. For Michael Jordan, whether it was training, on the court, off the court, whether it was games or whether it was a game, leisure time with his security guard, he's in the zone. Nothing else is coming in. He's so tunnel vision. And I think unless you get an opportunity to experience that, you don't know what it's like and you don't thrive for it.
yeah,
That's one of the I was at a podcast last month and they're asking, when am I retiring? And I'm like, I don't think I can, because nothing can replace that yet.
yeah, yeah. Well, I always find it weird that we spend a lot of our lives with our allotted profession, and especially if you love it, why you would want to get to a point where you would retire. I know there's things you want to do in family and all of that, but there's a part of it that gets woven into all of those aspects of ego, superego, id, everything that makes you a healthy, sentient being on this planet.
Yeah, yeah. I also think that we as humans, most of us have this innate ability or need for purpose and for impact. And a lot of for people that out of need, they have to do a job that doesn't give that to them. But
Yeah,
I think entrepreneurs and athletes alike are really lucky. They get to have impact, and have a real purpose. And
yeah,
I think if you can get to that in your job, and I honestly think with the technology revolution of AI, we are going to get to a point where we're able to outsource so much more of our mundane tasks, whether that be to agents, whether that be to robots, that we are going to have more time. Bill Gates only recently quoted that he thinks we're moving to a 2-day work week. With that in mind, where does go our purpose? Where does go our impact? Hopefully, it goes back to serving in your community and bringing back human connection that I do think we've lost in this culture of, especially since the internet come out and the smartphone, emails, of being connected to work constantly.
yeah,
It is your identity. It's 80% of what you do and think most of the time. But why? Because it's connected to our identity, it's connected to our purpose. We think we're doing impact, whether that's impact from the company you work for or the business you own, or impact because it's creating a life for you and your family. But I honestly think that we are heading towards a massive shift, in the ability to create impact and purpose in a different world where AI can move away from the business work side of things and bring back us humans and get connected to us, which, bring it back to the athlete. I think the athlete is a very lucky job because they get to
yeah.
do that a lot.
For sure. So you got a unique ability of entrepreneurship, being an athlete, AI technology. Take me back to your childhood. What were the seeds? I mean, how did all of those come together and how do they feed off of each other?
Yeah, look, that's such a tough question. I honestly don't, I honestly don't know. I think it is literally just, I loved all things sport and physical activity. We grew up in Australia, Queensland, very sporty. My family were very sporty. I mean, my family all played in the same team at one point, three siblings and their parents. My dad was entrepreneurial. My mum was, worked hard and yeah, she was a real problem solver, like I say this to my business partners all the time. All leaders find solutions to problems. you know I think I definitely got that, from my mum. Nothing was ever a problem. You just got out and did it, and you're up training early in the morning. And yeah, and then yeah, we're just competitive by nature. So I always want to succeed and want to win, and that has its pros and its cons. It has its lights and its shadow. um but yeah, I think I don't know. I can't pinpoint a time, Joe. I'm really sorry. I think it was
You're
just an
good.
accumulation of just environment, yeah, DNA. And then it is opportunities, right? Like all things, I think the move over here. I got posted in Queensland when I graduated as a PE and science teacher. I got posted to a very rural place where it was 6 hours from any airport, and not my style. I was a beach girl, and so I got straight on a plane. Had an opportunity to come and play netball over here. Got straight on a plane, and I never looked back in London, and have been here 20 years. So I think it's also opportunities and
Yeah.
taking those opportunities when they come.
So who's been that inspirational force, that hero for you in your life?
Oh, I don't know. Um, I don't think I've had a hero. I think it's been more. I've always aspired to achieve something. A bit of a doer. I've always kind of gone, okay, I want to move to London. Okay, I can play the netball. Okay, I can be a head of sport. Okay, I can start my own business. Okay, I can be a mum and an athlete. Okay, I can, create a business partner model. Okay, I can move my in-person studio to online. Okay, like I don't know. It's yeah, and I think I don't know. I also think my identity's changed in every aspect of my life. And I did a mindset activity actually not that long ago, where it was like, what did you do in the last 10 years to get you to where you are now? And what do you think you might need to do in the next 10 years to get you to your next level? And actually, I look back and I think, okay, from the first 10 years of my life, it was just obsessed with sport and had lucky enough to be taken to all the sporting competitions. Teenage years, becoming captains in teams, to working my first part-time jobs, to early 20s, graduating uni, moving to London, becoming an international athlete. My 30s, growing a business, two businesses at the time, and having two children. Okay, now I'm in my 40s. What is that next level for me? And it is that thought leadership in business strategy. For some reason, and I haven't been able to prove this yet, but I honestly believe that AI strategy very much suits neurodivergent ADHD traits.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. What is your philosophy on work-life balance between taking care of your soul and your family and your business? How do those work for you every day? What's the motivator?
I definitely don't have work-life balance because I know that I get very obsessive. Like if I want to start a new business, I'm obsessive about it. If I want to grow my business, I'm obsessive about it. If I have a competition, last year was a World Cup. It was my fourth World Cup. I was older than before. I had a little girl. I was injured. I became obsessive to make sure I made it through that World Cup. So therefore that became a priority over business. I just become whatever my little short, medium, long-term goals is. I just become quite obsessive with that. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I'm good at balance, to be honest. But also going back to purpose, like I was on holidays last week in the beautiful Sardinia, which is an Italian island,
Yeah.
and I did more work on that week. But I was on the beach and, I was watching my girls build sandcastles, and, we climbed a castle and we went on a boat and saw dolphins. But God, I was creative. And, I achieved so much in that week. And it wasn't just the doing, it was the thinking and the
Yes.
processing. And I loved every minute of it. I felt like I was on holidays and I felt like I was balanced because I was being creative, right?
Yeah.
I think entrepreneurs generally need to have freedom to be creative. And I think if I do what most business coaches suggest, which is block your diary and make sure you're not multitasking and you don't have 100 tabs open. It doesn't work for me. I love multitasking. Like, I couldn't even tell you how many projects I've done in a day today.
Yeah.
It works for me.
Yeah, for sure. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, you ran into the 18-year-old version of you getting ready to charge out into the world, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've lived, the wisdom you've accumulated, what advice would you impart on that young version of you?
Wow. Wow. uh whew. It's gonna sound so cliche, but there is no destination. Like, I think I was so obsessed with the next achievement.
Yeah.
I've gone through my life very much the next achievement, the next goal, you've done this. I remember even a few years ago, lots of, I guess business kind of acquaintances and teammates of like, oh, you've always got so much going on and you're always achieving so much. But I didn't feel like I was achieving anything at all because I constantly was looking for that next destination, and for some reason I'd always change the goalpost. I don't know why or how I would do that, but yeah. So my 18-year-old self, here's my advice: enjoy the journey. It's not about a destination. And I
Love.
know that's like a probably common saying, but I do wish that wisdom had come to me much earlier than 40.
When I was getting married for the first time, and I was getting ready to have my son Miles. I remember a good friend of mine was telling me that it's about the journey. Just let it just be the journey. Don't get hung up on where it's going to be and where it's going to end up. And I think that's just kind of a human condition we get into. But at any age, it seems cliche, but it's very important to understand that, it's really about the journey. So let me ask you this as an athlete, we always get hung up on the big wins, the championships. But as an athlete, there's games that we don't know that hum at a different vibration. There's a different level of energy. What is one of the most intense, best memories of a game that you ever participated in your career?
Gosh. um I think it was probably my second World Cup playing Australia. My first World Cup was um, a shock because I knew they were good, and being Australian, it was like I don't know, I had FOMO that I wasn't playing for them. I was playing for England, and we got absolutely pumped. Like, I think it was like 22-0. Like, it was, and I come off like crying. Admittedly, I was early 20s, but like crying, and I don't know, like felt hard done by and felt like angry, that we'd lost by so much, so, but then the reality was we were always going to lose by that much. Like, you're playing the best in the world. It's like anyone playing, USA and Gridiron or any of those, any teams, even a GB team. I think there's a GB team. Even if they went over and played your college team, they get absolutely pumped, right? So I think I didn't understand that, though. For some reason, I just thought we would be better. So then the second World Cup comes along. I think I it was almost like, and this is something actually I have learned in life, is change your expectations. If your expectations are really high, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can bring the expectation in, and I used to think it was like, oh, you're cutting yourself short. Like, the expectation at a World Cup was to finish third, not first, and get some people go, but you should aim higher and you should aspire. But I'm like, well, no, because you got to also have some type of reality. And if you're pushing for first and you take your eye off the ball and you don't make it to the third or fourth playoff, you've definitely failed. Like, so I don't know. I think I came in with a different perspective of, we're not going to beat them, but what can I learn? What can I learn from this game about myself, about my teammates, about the best players in the world? What am I coming away with? Am I
Yeah.
coming away with, I think we lost 18-0 that 4 years later, but like, what am I coming away with? Am I getting angry and upset again, or am I coming away and going, gosh, they can do XYZ really well. We were able to compete here. I personally was able to keep my head, was I fitter this time? All of those types of things. So yeah, to answer your question, I think it was 2015 World Cup.
Yeah, interesting. So let me segue over to AI. Everybody, you gave a glowing description of AI, which I think is very accurate, even with what Bill Gates talked about. But at the end of the day, there's all of these fears, probably just because of Arthur C. Clarke in 2001 and different things that we've seen portrayed in TV and film. There's a fear of AI. Plus, we know how humans are, what we can do. Do you have any inherent fear of AI, or what's your thought on it?
Yeah, so I don't, because I am a shiny object entrepreneur, optimistic, everything's going to work out type of girl. So yeah, which sometimes gets me in trouble, especially with my partner who is a CFO, very risk adverse, and we come from different paths, and my head works completely different. So I am all up for AI, having a growth mindset about adoption of AI, being an optimist, and just thinking about AI as an abundance of opportunities. So I don't have any negative thoughts, but what I will say is that I'm not under any illusion that any technological revolution we've been through has had pros and cons, and the cons have been pretty bad. Like looking at the internet completely wiped out some jobs. Even before the internet, the farmers, when the machines came in, completely wiped out industries.
Yeah.
Miners completely wiped out industries. Internet massively changed how businesses work, massively changed the economics of earnings and wealth of people, to the introduction of the smartphone, to social media. Jobs have been displaced, jobs have been created, many humanity issues have come apart. I mean, would we be in such a mental health epidemic if it wasn't for smartphones and social media? So there are going to be pros and cons with massive AI adoption, and it is very risky because this technology is moving at a faster pace than any of the other adoption technologies we've had in the past. And governments and countries are definitely fighting for dominance around AI, which is also very dangerous. But I guess for me in life, control the controllables, and keep making an impact where you can make an impact and enjoy what you do. So that's where I'm at with AI. Control the controllables. I can control how I use it. I can control how I educate others. I can control, I guess, where I think business is going and different industries are going in terms of upskilling myself and having that kind of thought leadership for helping people in different industries, and in terms of making an impact. I definitely am non-techie, and I was one of the last people to change from a BlackBerry to a smartphone, and I am not doing that again. And I encourage lots of other people not to do that. So, here I am, helping mainly business owners adopt and master AI without the overwhelm, make it fun and creative, and help them leverage this technology that is going to change and has started to change how we do life and business.
So at the end of the day, of everything that you've accomplished and evolved into at this point, what are you the proudest of?
Mum of my children.
Yeah.
And the partner. You have to, being in a relationship with somebody, where you birth children and you have different values and different businesses, and it's not easy. And the grass is never greener on the other side. So to be able to love somebody and be loved by somebody, you've got to be the best version of yourself. And to be able to be the best mum and get the best out of your children, you've got to be the best version of yourself. So proudest of always pushing myself forward personally, and then giving myself time to be mum and be loving partner.
So everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, colleagues, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, gosh, Joe, these are so deep with
Yes, I
no
know.
with absolutely no pre-warning. I love it. Gosh, okay. What comes to my gut? What's my perception of myself? Um, yeah, look, I think I'm a doer. I'm a motivator. I'm a doer. I love to be challenged. I love to challenge. And I generally hope that the way I help people in different aspects of my life, whether it's coaching, I coach in England a mixed 20s team, to whether it's playing, whether it's mum, whether it's neighbor. I don't know. I feel like I do help people in any way that I can.
So if anyone is curious, they want to reach out, they want to hire you, they have questions, any other good business, where do they go?
I love LinkedIn.
Okay.
Marnie Wills on LinkedIn. Love a good DM on there. And my social media channels are Business with AI Strategist. And if you want to see my latest holiday in Sardinia, it's just Marnie Wills on Instagram.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Well, I will put links in the show notes. Marnie, this has been wonderful. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Continued success.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. What an interview.
This should have been done in the morning. It would have been a good wake up, been a cup of coffee kind of a thing, right?
Now I need to journal the impact you've had on my life.
Good deal. I love it. Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.